Paul Finebaum's name is woven into the fabric of Alabama. For decades, his voice has been a constant, on car radios, in living rooms, wherever college football is king. He's not a politician or a preacher, but in the Deep South, a sports talk host is something more. Finebaum is a confidant, a provocateur, and a mirror for the passions of his listeners. Now, he's considering a run for the United States Senate. At first, it sounds unlikely. A radio host in Washington? But in Alabama, where football is a way of life, it makes sense. Finebaum's show is a daily town hall, a place where people argue, laugh, and vent. He's built a powerful bond with his audience, one political consultant's envy. The news broke in late 2025. Finebaum, now 70, is seriously considering a campaign. The Senate seat opens as Tommy Tuberville, another football legend, runs for governor. Finebaum, recently back in Alabama, sees an opening. It's a path from radio debates to Senate policy. For a master communicator, the distance isn't as great as it seems. He's more than a media figure. He's part of Alabama's identity. 35 years of speaking directly to the people have given him deep insight into their hopes and fears. This isn't knowledge from polls. It's earned through thousands of hours of live radio. The question, can Finebaum's familiar voice translate from sports to politics? Alabama is about to find out. The stage is set for a new kind of campaign. To grasp Finebaum's political potential, you have to understand his show. The Paul Finebaum Show is more than sports. It's a daily spectacle where Southern football fans bare their souls. For 4 hours each weekday, the phone lines light up with raw emotion. Callers don't just talk football, they live it, venting joy and frustration in equal measure. Finebaum orchestrates this chaos, listening, prodding, and sometimes stoking the drama. The show is a digital campfire, a place for community and catharsis. One infamous moment. In 2011, Harvey Updike confessed on air to poisoning Auburn's iconic oak trees. That call made national news, but it was Finebaum's show where Updike felt compelled to confess. This is the world Finebaum built, a community where listeners feel seen, heard, and connected. Regular callers are like recurring characters, their voices as familiar as family. Finebaum's gift is forging visceral, emotional bonds. He's created a platform where people express the passions that define their lives. This connection is rare, and it's the foundation of his potential political movement. Finebaum's show is a long-running focus group, revealing what truly matters to Alabamians. He's not just a host, he's a trusted voice. That trust could be his greatest asset in a Senate race. In Alabama, Finebaum's radio kingdom is a political base. He's proven he can unite, challenge, and inspire. Now he may take that power to the polls. Decades ago, FDR's fireside chats brought the presidency into American homes, building trust in uncertain times. Roosevelt used radio to connect, explain, and reassure. Finebaum, in his own way, has mastered a similar art. His show is a modern, unpredictable fireside chat, less scripted, more interactive. Unlike Roosevelt, Finebaum's show thrives on callers, letting public voices drive the conversation. The core principle is the same: use radio to build a direct personal relationship. Finebaum's listeners feel part of a tribe united by passion and belonging. He validates their feelings no matter how extreme. This loyalty goes beyond agreement on issues. It's about shared emotion. Finebaum doesn't need to introduce himself to Alabama, they already know him. His voice has been the soundtrack to their lives for decades. While FDR sold policies, Finebaum has built goodwill and name recognition. His connection isn't about politics, it's about trust. That's a currency money can't buy. In politics, that bond is priceless. Finebaum's fireside is ready for a new audience. For years, Finebaum dismissed the idea of running for office. He was a radio host, not a politician. But something changed. In 2024, the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk shook him deeply. Finebaum called it an awakening, a moment that made him question his role and purpose. He wondered if talking about football was enough. At the same time, Alabama's political landscape shifted. Senator Tuberville announced he'd run for governor, leaving a rare open Senate seat. Suddenly, a Finebaum campaign wasn't just a joke. It was a real opportunity. No incumbent, no obvious favorite. Finebaum's name recognition gave him an instant advantage. Political operatives took notice, urging him to run. They saw his unique connection to voters as a winning formula. Encouragement from serious players made the idea tangible. For Finebaum, always attuned to opportunity, the timing was perfect. The pieces fell into place. What started as a fantasy became a viable plan. Now he's on the brink of a new chapter. Finebaum's greatest asset isn't a policy, it's his decades of listening. Every day he's heard from Alabamians of all walks. Farmers, teachers, truck drivers. He's absorbed their joys, frustrations, and hopes. This is voter outreach no politician can match. Finebaum knows the state's rhythms, rivalries, and concerns. When he says, "I know who they are, they know who I am," it's fact, not slogan. His show is more than football. It's about life in Alabama. Callers share their struggles, dreams, and opinions on everything. Finebaum has built a relationship one call at a time. He's a passive observer, absorbing the state's psyche for a generation. Other politicians pay for polls. Finebaum's been running a daily focus group for 35 years. He doesn't guess what Alabamians think, he knows. That's a unique, powerful advantage. In politics, it's gold. If Finebaum runs, he follows a familiar path from sports to politics. Alabama's own Tommy Tuberville went from Auburn coach to U.S. Senator, leveraging fame and connection. Tom Osborne did the same in Nebraska, turning coaching respect into political capital. These figures proved that sports fame can translate into public trust and leadership. Finebaum, though not a coach, is just as famous, a central figure in SEC culture. He's built his career on understanding and communicating with passionate fans. The blueprint is clear. Alabama voters embrace leaders from the world of college football. Finebaum is the next logical step in that tradition. The leap from radio to Senate isn't as far as it seems. In Alabama, it's a proven route to power. Most candidates struggle for name recognition. Finebaum already has it. In Alabama, his name is as familiar as the governor's. Decades on radio and TV have made him a household name. This gives him a massive head start. He can focus on vision, not introductions. In a crowded primary, he'd be the instant frontrunner. His platform isn't just local. ESPN and SEC Network give him national reach. That means fundraising and support from fans across the country. Finebaum knows how to command media attention. His candidacy would be a national story. Free media exposure would dwarf his opponent's efforts. He's a master of narrative, able to drive the news cycle. His opponents would struggle for airtime. Name recognition, a national platform, and media savvy make him formidable. Finebaum's campaign would start with momentum few can match. What would Senator Finebaum stand for? He's a Republican, a Trump voter, and says he couldn't refuse if Trump asked him to run. His politics are mainstream conservative, strong military, lower taxes, less regulation. But his real brand is authenticity and connection. The event that spurred his interest, Charlie Kirk's assassination, shows he's concerned about the country's direction. Finebaum's style is populist, pragmatic, and independent. On air, he's willing to challenge anyone, values, results over reputation, and listens to all sides. As a senator, he'd likely be more interested in practical solutions than party lines. He'd represent Alabamians' will, not just the party's. His positions would reflect the state's conservative values, but his approach would be direct and personal. Finebaum would be the outsider, the citizen politician. He'd bring the same candor to Washington as he does to the airwaves. For Alabama, that's a new kind of senator. The idea of Senator Finebaum is more than a curiosity. It's a sign of the times. He'd be a communicator, not a career politician. His success would show the power of media and the cultural weight of college football in the South. Alabamians could expect a senator who's accessible, fiercely loyal, and deeply connected to the state's culture. He'd bring a disruptive, no-nonsense style to the Senate, sometimes ruffling feathers, always commanding attention. Finebaum's presence would change the conversation, both in Alabama and in Washington. His campaign reflects a new path to power, one that runs through radio studios and football fields, not just law schools. Authentic connection with the public can outweigh a traditional political resume. Whether he runs or not, Finebaum has already shifted Alabama's political landscape. He's proven that the voice of the people, passionate, loud, and unfiltered, is a force to be reckoned with. In the end, Finebaum's greatest strength is that he's always been listening, and now Alabama is listening to him.